One up and
everybody, please stand, take off your hat, and go Lord in word of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you so much for this beautiful day, dear Lord. And Heavenly Father, we just thank you for your love, your grace, and your great kindness that you shown to us. Dear God, we pray now that you be with our meeting, that you would guide us and lead us. Everything we say and do would bring you glory and honor. These things we pray in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will have roll call. President Warren Fleetwood,
Present.
Vice President Kenneth Montgomery,
Present.
Commissioner Mary Key. Present. We do have a quorum.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made in a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And sign and send it your way. There you are. And looking at the claims from last approval of claims. We'll start with the reading of those. CAW 1, $22,681.64. County General, $101,296.68. Courts, $12,196.69. Highway, $33,476.99. Thank you, sir. Sheriff, $3,852.12. ACH, $95,268.19. CAW 2, $15,208.91. Attorney claims, $1,900. Payroll deductions, $145,608.07. And last but not least, payroll, $338,191.76. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make that motion.
Well, I'll second then.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Got a motion made and a second by Mary. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. Treasury report.
Yeah, I've looked at both of them.
Yep.
Okay. We have the treasurer report that's been reviewed. I'll entertain a motion to approve if we have anything to approve on that. If not, we'll move on. Okay. Clerk report. Thank you, sir.
Saw that too.
And moving on to commissioners' old business, we're going to bump up the resolution regarding the leasing of the new jail. Attorney Spindler, I'll turn this one over to you for.
And I will turn it over to Mr. Bingham. Ultimately, just so you know, my recommendation is that this be tabled this evening and we act on it at the first meeting in December, but Mr. Bingham will present the resolution to you here.
All right, thank you. Again, Brad Bingham with Barnes & Thornburg. We're serving as bond counsel for the county on the financing piece of the Union County Jail. Earlier this evening, we had the first meeting of Building Corporation, kind of kick off the legal process on the financing side for this project. In case for those that didn't attend the building corporation meeting, little background, the purpose of having a building corporation involved in the financing is it all comes back to the state constitution and the limit on direct indebtedness to the county. And so there's a limit, it's a no number, it's 1/3 or 2% of your net assessed value. And that's the maximum you can borrow directly. So the way the communities are able to finance large projects, so you see this with school buildings throughout the county and throughout the state and other public assets, is they do it through lease financing with a nonprofit building corporation. So there was the Gibson County, Indiana Facilities Building Corporation, we'll just call them the Building Corporation for short. It was formed as a nonprofit corporation under Indiana law, and their sole purpose is to be the issuer of the bonds for the project, and then they will enter into a lease with the county in order to provide a revenue stream to pay back the bonds. That lease is structured what's called an abatement lease, and so the county has an obligation to make lease rental payments for the asset of the building as long as it's available for use and occupancy. If it's ever damaged or destroyed, the lease rent is abated, and it's not debt of the county. So we had a meeting, organizational matters. There's also a form of lease agreement. And I think Jason has distributed to each of you a copy of that lease, and just a resolution. So I kind of wanted to go through a few of the things that are covered by that resolution, and then answer any questions that you may have. Again, under Indiana law, this type of financing, the maximum term that you can pay this back is 20 years. That's kind of the overall limitation on how long the financing can do. The way that the financial advisor, Baker Tilly, is structuring these bonds is to look at the correctional facility and rehabilitation facility income tax rates, the jail lit. They're looking at that revenue stream and building in some coverage, because you have to have coverage on that. It would support essentially a bond issue of about $26 million, which would translate to a lease rental payment of approximately, not to exceed $2 million. So those parameters are sort of set forth in the resolution and the lease itself as sort of maximum parameters. It's not as if you're deciding on that tonight. It's just to sort of say, we're starting a legal process. Here's rough estimate, high end, what those numbers would be. Again, as I mentioned, the lease rentals, the finance is payable primarily from the GLA tax, but in order to get the best rating on the bonds and therefore the best interest rate, lowest cost of funds, it's advisable to put the county's property taxes as a backup to those lease rental payments. And so, again, the expectation, the primary source of repayment is GL lit, but if ever there was a blip or a downturn where that wasn't sufficient, you would have the legal ability to levy a property tax to make that lease rental payment whole. Wouldn't have to. You could look for other sources of money if you had edit or other, pots of cash somewhere. You could use that. Bondholders don't care; they just want green. But you'd have the legal ability if you had to levy that property tax. I'm going to pause there and just maybe see if there's any questions that folks have or want to clarify.
What happens if it runs over? You have to have up your bonds when in the middle.
You mean the project itself?
Yes.
So that's why you never sell bonds. Advisable, don't ever sell bonds until after you get construction. So the bids will come in and you'll know what the various construction contract costs will be. And I think Garmon is the construction manager's constructor. You'll enter into a guaranteed max price contract with them after they bid the project. And so in terms of cost overrun, that's the upside to using construction managers. It's on them to figure it out, make sure the work gets done within budget. And so once you know that number, then you sell bonds. So you don't want to be out there and overissue or underissue making that content. And so under just maybe real quick on that point, planning calendar wise, this is just the start of the legal process. There'll be you'll have to hold a public hearing down the road. County council has to weigh in and approve this. So that there's other steps that have to happen. Current timeline is construction bidding would occur in February. So we're not anticipating a bond sale until late February or March of 22. And so with that, that's kind of overall what the purpose of the solution is. Again, the building corporation itself, it's a not-for-profit corporation formed under the law. but its sole purpose and only purpose is to be the issuer of the debt and to lease the asset to the county. They cannot take the property and go do something else with it. Either, there's a statute, and it's also written in the documents, once the bonds go away, the property has to go back to the county, free and clear. And again, it's a financing mechanism that we're using here to avoid the indebtedness limitations on the but yeah, calendar wise is the first step, and then again, we bond closing probably sometime in early March is what we would do. And I think as Jason and I discussed, at your next meeting, I think would be beneficial is to have your financial advisor, the Baker Tilly folks, come and do a presentation and show you, how do you come up with these numbers? What do these numbers look like? And they'll do a good job of showing, the revenue streams, how they built their assumptions and so forth to arrive at these numbers. But again, nothing is set in stone at this point. It's just sort of the first step in the process.
Any questions?
Not at this time, maybe later.
All right, so as mentioned, I'm recommending that this be tabled. You can either vote to table it or just move on.
I'll make a motion to table this till the next meeting.
Second.
Motion made in a second. All in favor to table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Brad, I want to thank you, and it's good to have a Gibson County native on board with this project. It's going to be a big project for our county. And I think you're going to bring a lot of expertise and strength to this project. So again, it's good to have a Gibson County native on board and helping out the county and sort of paying back.
I appreciate it. It's the first time I've worked with the county. I've been doing this for about 15 years.
Really?
This is exciting project. Appreciate it.
Well, we were ecstatic when we heard you were available. And so thank you. Thank you for your efforts.
Absolutely. Well, I'll see you at the December meeting.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Safe travels. Next up is a bridge inventory contract, 2022 to 2025. Yeah,
And Matt's not here.
yeah, he told us that he wasn't gonna, or he just sent a message to me that he wouldn't be able to make it tonight, but
You have a Jason?
I don't know if I got it printed.
they have some wood. I think what he's wanting to
It
do
was in the
is
emails
Yeah.
today, so.
he just wanted to get it approved and.
Did he have one? I didn't print it off.
Got here.
Oh, looks like a big.
Oh, is this?
Fitted.
Oh,
Okay, we have.
Yeah, printed off.
Yeah, sorry for the.
bless you, Christie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the bridge inventory contract. There is a place for us to sign off on it. All three of us.
Okay,
Well, I mean, we've already approved of them doing it. This is just the agreement. So I'll make a motion to sign the agreement.
second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Everybody have the power vested in our commissioners to sign the document.
Thanks, gentlemen. Very appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
This is my last meeting.
Come on, you're still working in December, aren't you?
So I appreciate all that you did. Gibson County, a very good client of ours over the years. Appreciate this opportunity and thank you so much.
We'll miss you.
Yes.
You have a good retirement, Jack.
On behalf of Gibson County, we want to thank you for all your years of service, and enduring stress, achievements, accomplishments, and everything you put into our county.
We appreciate it. They're a great company to work for. You've been a great client. So, so, you all have a good holiday. And if you get to any now, make sure to call.
Stay in touch too. Stay in touch.
You all have a good one.
All right, you too. Safe travels.
George.
Gibson County Community Corrections Project update, George Baller.
He's out in the hall.
With the fishing. All right, thank you. Send the sheriff, that'll take care of it.
Yeah, run him in here.
Bring me cups.
All else fails, send the sheriff.
Cuffing.
George, welcome. And it just so happens, you came in at the right time. We're ready for you. But we just announced the community corrections project update. What do you have on your table? Do you have any updates for the
Well, one thing, we had
citizens?
an agreement to fund the older representative. And I think Jason's got it. I think maybe some- County council has approved it. They did it last meeting. And so that's one thing for this evening. The other thing is, of course, we're still discussing the north side some more. That's still in the works. And obviously, you have building, holding police meetings this afternoon. Who's the president?
Scott Garrett.
Scott Garrett?
Got here, okay, so good deal. So I'm sure we'll be working with him in the future too. So that's kind of the most recent update I give you, if you got some questions for me. And also Garmin contract is probably seeing too. Okay.
I believe I have it down here, George. Garmong is our construction manager and just looking to get their contract signed. I'll entertain a motion to approve the signing of the contract. Got a motion made. Do we have a second on it?
What's the bottom dollar on that?
Not to, the Garmong, is that what you're on?
Yes, the Garmong.
60,000,
How much?
not to exceed 60,000.
Got a motion made. Do we have a second? I'll second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
One nay. Oh, we gotta have it right there.
So you have to.
Yeah, I think so. And George, do you get this or should I?
I'd like, let me get a copy of that.
Why don't you give the original to Christie
Right.
and then the auditor's office
Yeah,
can
I can get a copy. from-
distribute it out.
Another one, I think the contract over on the owner, we already voted on that, I actually, in office. But we had to wait till the funding was approved. Wait for the commissioners to, sign it.
Is this similar to Brian's? Is this similar to Byron's?
It's exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I've reviewed it and it's ready to go when you're ready.
We need to take a vote on this since we've already approved him.
Go ahead and vote to approve it as presented.
Okay. You have a question, Mary?
Okay. Or just, there's one line. Do all three of us need to sign it or just one?
Just one, but
Okay.
if you want all three signed, either way is fine.
Okay, I was just curious.
I'll entertain a motion to approve it as it's presented to us this evening.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mary second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. I have been given the permission here to move forward with the signature and authorization.
Yeah, I can get a copy from the auditor's office later on, no problem. Well, got one, and unless you don't have any questions, I'm glad that try to answer.
You've been in touch with Logan, yes?
I'm sorry.
Well, you've talked to Logan about the Good
Yeah,
Samaritan.
yeah, I actually talked to him yesterday about it. I didn't contact him, generally waiting period for that, and also checking on the asbestos, that kind of stuff. And also talked to him about keeping part of the wall up as a retaining wall for now, so the driveway then go Washington to the north.
That would be bad.
Just,
Yeah, they're going to clean. their-
Wait, here's
It
got it right here. It's got it
does.
right here. It's okay.
See, I didn't understand.
Do you think you'll be there when they start that?
I told him to call me, I don't know what's gonna be.
I told him Andy's got, we've got stuff in there that Andy will need to get out and coordinate that with Andy. So just be sure we got all of our
Yeah, I
stuff.
told him if he could give me like 10 goals before they start, so I can make sure that Mr. Schaefer knows what's going on there. We'll see what happens. Get that for them.
Keep up the good work, George. Yeah, keep moving forward. We appreciate it. Next up, I believe Fairview Heights Final Plat Phase 1. And we may have someone here to present on this. Save this for a minute.
Hi. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, whenever you are.
Also here with Bill Reinberg. Basically, the plat is being submitted as the first 10 lots. The subdivision that was given primary approval. This, all the lots on the section access the exterior county roads that are already in place. The water lines are already in place out along the county road. So really, there's no infrastructure that's needing to get these first 10 lots platted and sold off. So I did see the report from the review committee, and it looks like clients were doing it and signed off on the standpoint of the technical review. So we're here to ask for final approval of just the section 1 plat and allow these first 10 lots to get recorded.
Now, are you coming before us to approve only the 10 lots, or are you wanting the whole subdivision approved? What are you looking for this evening?
Primary plat, the primary plat for the overall subdivision was already approved. So
Preliminary, the preliminary was approved, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the only thing we're asking for final plat approval tonight is for 10 lots. So section 2 would come later on as these first 10 lots get sold, and then section 2 or 3 in the future would incorporate the construction of the new roadways, extension of the water line and so forth. That would be required to get to those internal lots. That these first 10 lots can access the exterior county roads and do not require any infrastructure. So it's kind of a good way to get kicked off, get some lots sold, and if there's interest in the property and things get rolling for the loan involved, then I'm sure section 2 would be not far behind. But there's going to be road construction and some water line installation before that actually takes place. But again, tonight it's just for the first thing.
Well, if I've said it once, I've probably said it a million times. My biggest concern is the roads and sewer out there. And not that I see any red flags, but in any project, roads and sewer. So I would have the same concerns for any subdivision in our county coming in. I would be concerned about the roads and sewer. And so that's probably the issue here is how are we maintaining the roads? How are we maintaining the sewer? And it looks like you have a pretty good plan from what I see. One of my concerns, and probably my only concern, is in taking a look at this and having talked to our health department and folks, is the Perk test or the final soil test on some of these lots. Have all these lots been tested, final tested, or where are they right now?
No, whenever we went to the first meeting with the subdivision review committee, there was a general comment made that soils in this area are really good from the standpoint of septic, and shouldn't have any issues whatsoever, and kind of gave a blanket blessing at that initial meeting to say, you're not going to have any trouble on the site. And then whenever we got to the point of actually submitting the primary plat for initial review and approval, there in the ordinance, there's a requirement that every lot be
Right.
have a soils test done on it. And we talked to Ben and said, if all the soils are good, if we go out and do 2 or 3 soil tests on each lot of the 41 lots, whenever they actually come back in and do construction, if they don't put that septic system right where that test was performed, they're gonna have to come back and test it again anyway. And so we said, and we knew that section 1 was not going to be the entire development. So we were kind of looking for a way to say, if there's good soils, can we just go ahead and get a blanket okay on the overall development? And then as we come in and build on each lot, then we come out, test the soils, and approve each lot for the septic system that's actually being constructed, instead of an arbitrary, southeast corner of each lot and just picking that location to do the test. the tests would actually be performed at the location where the septic would be installed. And so I know we went back and forth and did quite a few times. I think he actually did do a number of tests out on the site to verify that his initial statement was not far-fetched and was accurate. And he did come back with we had 45 lots in the initial development as submitted. And after Ben went out and looked at the terrain, topography, where some ditches were, he did have a couple of concerns on a couple of lots. And we did take those lots out of the overall primary. So the primary that was approved contained 41 lots instead of what we initially had planned. And that was based upon Ben's suggestions and concerns for a couple of the lots that had some steep terrain on it. So we did do that for the overall primary. But then from the standpoint of getting primary approval for the subdivision, he did supply a letter that he was comfortable with every lot being acceptable. And, as we go forward and we request a dye test to be done for a soil sample to be done on each one of the lots. So kind of a roundabout way to get to that point to avoid going out and doing random testing that was more than likely going to be meaningless in the end, and kind of to make them a little bit more acquainted. Once you get a house plan and say this is where you're going to position the house, and this is where the septic is going to be, and that's where the test can actually be done.
What's the estimated fee for having one of these perk test soil tests done? Is it outlandish or is it fairly reasonable or?
Usually they're about $300 a lot. So.
And we're talking 42 lots times 300, probably looking at around 12,000 something dollars, give or take.
Right. And
But he has to come out and approve what's done too later on, don't he?
yeah.
After it's finished, he's got to approve the septic and,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I agree.
He's right there if you want to talk to him.
I know what he's got to do.
No, I mean, Ben's there.
Highlighted here on the street. In the field. If you notice, we put in a clause there that they have to come and talk to me before they start construction.
Right.
So we want the septic site laid out. And regardless of where their house, they want to put the house, we want the septic in the prime spot. So they need to call us and talk to us before they start construction. So that was one of the, that's one of the reasons we didn't do all the soils on every lot. Plus it's good soils and they're gonna do a lot of construction. They're gonna build roads and, like you said, if we went ahead and did all of them now, half of them are gonna be unusable. We'd have to come back and do it again.
I think ultimately my concern is our responsibility to anyone who would purchase a lot out there and what kind of mess they might get into if they couldn't be approved. Do you know if any lots have been sold already to individuals or?
I think there's been some commitments made for some lots, but nothing's been transferred. There's not been a sale.
No deeds have been
Correct.
given or purchase agreements have been signed that you know of?
Got a house on 7.
Yeah, there's a house that's been started, and I don't know what stage it is from this.
It's done.
Being constructed.
It's not done. It's still under construction.
But I also talked to the state of Indiana Board of Health. And they told me that all field tile in that field has to be removed before any septic system can be put in. That's what the state of Indiana said.
Well, we have had some discussions that there was the field.
There's a lot of it.
And that's part of Ben's concern with the site was where some of those tile drains were located. And that's why, a couple or 4 of the lots were eliminated. Part of the reason 4 of the lots.
There's one right in front of my house, and you got one in the lake.
My only point is, and I think it's favorable. I think there's some good drawings involved here and the engineers did a fine job. Your engineering group did a fine job. My only concern is not having those perk tests done or the soil tests done and what the repercussions of that might be. Now, if you were to go in and have the perk test done and or the soil test done on these 10 lots, we're talking maybe $3,000, give or take. Is that something you could do and then come back to us at our next meeting, or?
I feel what's been already presented to you from the standpoint of how we've gone through the county, how it was vetted through the county, discussions with Ben, and what was acceptable to Ben is ultimately to get a sign off on the septic locations and the approval. You know, at this point, we're asking for approval for section 1 that was within the limits and bounds of the primary plat that have already been approved. So, I mean, I almost feel like if we were asking for something outside the bounds of was the approval, then I understand there's.
Sure. And I can respect your opinion wholeheartedly. It's just, I'm entitled to my opinion too, as a commissioner, and looking out for any citizens that might purchase this property. My opinion is that we need to get those perk tests, soil tested before moving forward with this. But again, I have no problem with the project. I'm most likely to probably move it forward if everything's done right.
Well, I mean,
And the perk test and soil test are done.
Ben is our expert in this.
They just had a solar report on that corner lot. I mean, it come back, it's some of the best soil we got in the county, so. I mean,
Well, but I mean, it's in there that before they set a house,
Yeah.
before they start that, Ben's gonna be consulted. He's gonna review it once every, with it, and is it in the right place? So,
if they go
and
in
it's
destroy a
expensive to
lot,
do it.
like a road or something else, that's gonna be on their up down man, because I'm not gonna approve one that you can't put in, so. Surely they're gonna be careful and come to me before they start.
Well, and they know they have to come to you to make sure. They don't want to put in a septic system that's not going to be accepted. They're not going to want to build a house where a septic system is not going to be
They don't-
allowed.
I live right across the road from it, and every septic tank, I know everybody that lives out in that county, and everybody's septic tank does not work, none of them. And the guy just put a brand new septic tank in, just a quarter of a mile, put it in, and he has to have his septic tank pumped about every 3 months. And there's just 2 people living there. Because the finger system runs out in the farmer's field, and it still does not drain.
And I'm just thinking too, that if we were to wait on that kind of testing and cover all of our, basically dot all of our i's and cross all of our t's, and then there is a problem down the road, fellow commissioners, then we could go back and say, well, we actually had that all tested prior to any construction. And I also think it sets a nice precedent for the county moving forward. And we are going to have some more subdivisions, some really nice projects. But I'd like to set a precedent of, hey, we'd like for your soils to be tested as you move through these critical steps of, getting your subdivision approved in our county. So I want to be fair, but I also want to make sure we follow just some basic standards for soil and soil testing. So you guys have done an outstanding job of presenting, and you've got a great plan. So again, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm probably looking to table this now until we can get the soil testing done.
I'm going to make a motion to
But,
approve it.
I'm just one guy and
Well, I tell you, Warren, the way I look at it, you've got the experts, a subdivision committee has already approved the plat. Ben Dye has approved it right here on this paper. But he's got to go back before they build a new house, before they even start on it, and do it again. So that's going to get done. I mean, they can't do it until he goes out and checks it again. So.
Who's gonna maintain the ponds, your ponds? So that's in the subject 1. Who's gonna maintain them? Phase 1.
Underlying property owners are gonna.
You gotta get an HOA there. Because that's the only way you can do it, to maintain the ponds, keep the mosquito rumbling down, West Nile fire down.
got one for the whole subdivision. For section one, I don't think they do. They've got one for the whole rest of them.
That's what I was going by. Is that
I
right?
know, me too, but he just,
We have governance and restrictions in place for the overall.
He just don't want it out.
yeah, true. But he answered.
Section two.
But you still got the ponds that have to be in, would have to be in the HOA too. And if you sell them lots, you will not be able to get an HOA for these people on this side of the lots. Because you have to do it before you sell any lots. That's state law. Now that, if you do that, you have mosquito larvae and all that in there, West Nile virus. And I'm thinking of safety. And then I think, and I talked to the chief of the police, the Francisco Fire Department, and they said they would like to have access to the ponds, both of them, and a dry hydrant put in place and inspected for anything catching. And I'm not, I don't think we're asking for much, because I know where the water line is down there.
Out there wanted them.
And I know you won't be, you can't get it because it's on my side of the road. That's way.
So they're guaranteed a way back here, like a right of way.
Down there on the-
Well, I'm sure he would say.
And that field down there on the end,
If
it's
you
flooded just the other day
subject to putting that in.
on that corner. And then you ain't got the emergency spillway in on the ponds. Yeah. There's a lot of loose ends here. Not including the road. safety.
I don't know much about it, but you do. Okay.
Going in.
I was on the fire department for a
Well,
long
there you
time.
know more about me. Yeah. I'll let you talk on that. Are there any other community concerns? We've had some community voices here. Do we have any other neighbors or any folks that live out that way that would like to speak in regards to the development? Fellow commissioners, I've already said my piece. Yes, sir.
She'd like to say something about
Okay.
450 and 200 intersections.
By all means.
Just the safety of it. I mean, we spoke on it last time. The road right directly from our house is not too bad. I mean, that's all we're going to do. You've got 2 or 3 lots there that people can back out on the road and run whatsoever. But then once you get past our house, there is a big hill there. And those probably the 3 lots, they're coming out on a hill. I've heard them say before they were going to move the dirt. They're not going to move the dirt. And even if you move the dirt, the road is a hill. And you're going to have traffic coming out on a hill.
That's a 12-foot hill.
It's a 12-foot hill of dirt.
I've driven that to come out there and review the property. And you're right. I mean, you don't see much to your left or right when you're facing north at that intersection.
At 450 and 200, and then 465 is the same way.
Kind of hills on both sides. Mhm.
Same way. It's long. I almost had a wreck tonight because I had been out to the intersection, the truck was coming and I didn't see him. So I go, you know.
Well, I've said my piece. Again, I think the drawings are fine. I think you met all the requirements with the exception of your soil testing. So that's just where I'm at. And I feel like I've spoken on behalf of the potential potential landowners out there, folks that might buy property out there. That's all I'm asking for is a little soil testing, but again, probably around $3,000 worth. Anyhow.
Well, it's gonna be tested and my motion stands of approval.
But if you approve that, then that you might as well just approve the whole thing. I mean, seriously, because the lot with the lakes, then lots right there, there's 7 of them that join the lakes. And if they sell them, but they ain't maintain them yet. Now that they haven't even put the emergency spillway, anything on that drawing, they haven't even put the emergency spillway in both of them ponds. They haven't even got them in yet.
You mentioned something about right of way or an access road to the lakes. What do you call that? Just an access road or?
Just, he said it could be gravel, as long as he had he'd like to have a dry hydrant put in, so they can pump, and I sent you a picture of the dry hydrant and give you a drawing of it, and it goes down the ground, it comes out, and it goes down there in the bottom of the pond, and then they can hook up to their fire hose, and then they pump it right out, and they'll have access to water, and and you have to document that on the plat for emergency vehicles only, cannot be blocked.
So maybe if, I mean, we do have a motion on the floor, but maybe we could rescind that motion or even send it through, that's fine too, but maybe we could develop another motion whereby we establish an access road be required. So approve pending access road established in said plat drawing.
Who's gonna pay for that?
I mean, we want folks to be safe. We don't want people having a house fire and not being able to get to them and all that stuff, but
John,
We did receive a letter from the Francisco Fire Department in support of the subdivision. Okay, want to make sure you.
Yeah, I've seen it.
very good, very good.
But
And
he didn't realize that it was that big, what he told me, the chief, and that's what he said. And I don't know, and I texted him and told him he needed to come to this meeting. Like Francisco Fire Department, you know. And I can tell him the text, but
well, I know you're talking about these dry hydrants. I was on 2 fire departments. It's not necessary. The ones we've got around Francisco, they hardly ever use. They throw a suction pump or suction tube right in the lake itself, and they'll suck it right out of there.
But Kenny, if they got houses in there,
They still gotta have a way to the lakes.
Yeah, yeah.
They need at least access to the lake.
I think you're saying the same thing, yeah.
But a dry pump or dry hydrant like that's not necessary.
That seems reasonable. I agree with Kenny on
But
that.
I think they do need access to the ponds.
Well, I do too.
agree.
They got to.
DNR got a grant a lot of times, but then dry hydrant too.
Mhm.
Around home, around Buckskin there, they got some grants from DNR to dry. He's putting a lot of them in now, and I mean, and Pike, then I know it's another county, but, and I know several counties are adopting the dry hydrants a lot because they said for the access of water. And they're even putting them down there on rivers and whatever, just for, so they can have quick access to hook up their hose to it and they pump it out. And I noticed that they're wanting a bunch of ponds, if they put dry hydrant or whatever, so they can have access.
Seems reasonable. I don't know much about the dry hydrants, to be quite honest. I think anytime you can provide access to water for
Water.
landowners, then that's probably a benefit to.
Because that's the thing too, I mean, you're talking about these landowners buying these properties, and, I mean, that's not much comfort to them whenever they're watching their house burn down, that they did, oh, we can't get water. I mean, that's not gonna be much comfort to them.
Right. I just keep thinking that maybe one of our neighbors or one of our grandkids will buy out there and just want to be a good project for not only the developer, but the neighboring residents and also the potential buyers. So anyhow.
Mary's made a motion and I'm gonna second it to approve this subdivision.
We got a motion made and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
And I'll be the one nay. And not because I disapprove the project, I want to clarify. Final plat approval of those on those.
I'm assuming ink will be okay on there. It looks like it's still like this.
Will just normal ink work on this paper? Well, we'd give it a try. I don't have a Sharpie.
It's got real heavy ink.
No, this has pretty good ink. No, feels more like, I'll do it. If we need to redo it, I'll redo it.
I believe believe we have a major medical.
One, I just noticed on, the, EMS report, monthly report, they have some write-offs we need to approve.
Okay.
We don't want to forget to do that, write-offs on the,
Oh, okay.
so I'll make a motion to approve the,
Got a motion to
write-offs.
Approve the write-offs for EMS. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Put the date on.
And major medical leave, do you have?
Put the date on mine too. Oh, that.
No, it's just up here. Let's see, today is the 16th, isn't it?
I'll entertain a motion for the major medical leave approval.
Make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yes.
Second made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
There you go, Kenny.
Anything else for the good of the cause? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So I asked a question about the name on the YMCA. And there was a gentleman here, YMCA board, supposed to come back and give us an answer. And I have never heard it yet. Have you?
No, sir. But I can only speak for myself. He hasn't returned, nor has the YMCA reached out to us in regards to that topic. Thank you.
Well, I've received several phone calls about it. And in fact, I had actually forgot about it. And of course, they read the article in the paper.
Sure.
And so I think we need an answer about that. As I said then, the Tonka Township,
Don't let that eat.
Union Township, put up a lot of money for that project. And then just to be pushed out the side. Nothing, and I'm gonna repeat again, nothing against Toyota.
Sure,
They've
sure.
been very good to this county. They've been very good to our county. Here, they've given us a lot, and we've got cars and police cars and stuff like that they've given us, and they've helped us in a lot of ways. And I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I think it's time that the Gibson County taxpayers get recognized for what they're doing. Because that TIF money is our money. We're the one paying that money in.
Well, I think you raise a good point here and a good question, and I'm not sure who authorized that decision. I'm not privy to that information. Maybe one of my fellow commissioners knows a little more about than myself, but I know as acting president, I never had any discussions with anyone from the YMCA and Toyota in regards to that matter. When we moved it forward to the redevelopment commission, we moved it forward as the Gibson County YMCA and felt really great about it. And you know, all that aside though, I think I also want to make the case for, you know, you're right. You're exactly right. We have a great partnership with Toyota Motor Manufacturing Incorporated. We have a phenomenal relationship with them, and I've actually, you know, talked to those folks, and we've got several projects in mind for improving their transportation avenues and as well as a lot of other transportation avenues around Gibson County. So bottom line is we feel they're a great partner, and to be quite honest, not sure you know, who made that decision. I don't, it was not me. I just want to be clear about that. And I was not included in on the discussion. But
I don't think anybody knew about it until they read it in the paper.
I just want to clear the air of that. Redevelopment Commission member Larry Mickle is here this evening. Larry, do you have any information pertaining to this?
In May, after we got it from the commissioners, they approved $13.2 million to come out of this money. And in May, it was on the agenda for the Gibson County YMCA. And the redevelopment commission, the motion was made, and in fact, I second the motion to approve $13.2 million to the Gibson County YMCA. I wouldn't even voted for it if it wasn't for the Gibson County, because Gibson County, it was supposed to be Gibson County YMCA. And Mr. Allen, I received numerous phone calls and people stop me now. What's the deal? Why it isn't a Gibson County YMCA? And I'd like to be able to give them an answer.
Sure.
But I don't think it's, I wonder if Toyota even knew about it. Somebody in my mind just said, hey, I'd be good publicity for Toyota, but in all honesty, as many negative comments I got, it's actually hurting them.
Right, and I'm, I've been in talks with some of the Toyota officials, and no one's said to me that they requested it, or no one's told me of any kind of decisions coming down from Toyota. Now, I do want to say though, for the record, that they are contributing. As we know, they are contributing like $1 million, and that's great. I think it's phenomenal that they are contributing $1 million, and I don't know of a single Gibson County citizen that would differ with that. But I think what you're bringing up here is that there's a substantial amount of funding coming from Gibson County's tax base. I understand what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a significant amount of funding coming from the Gibson County tax base. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I mean, I don't know if this requires a sit down at some point with our redevelopment group at Toyota, or where this is headed, but.
And more if they had just all come out of YMCA.
Yeah.
And the gentleman was here, he said he would meet with the board and bring this subject up.
Right.
When he said that, and, I kind of expected we might hear something from YMCA. But they haven't been, they got their money and they haven't been around. They're like stepchildren now.
Yeah.
I actually contacted a board member about the YMCA, and they didn't know, they didn't have an answer either. I was trying to get an answer, so I could tell these people. There's some pretty upset county residents that's been blindsided. And I feel I was blindsided. I wasn't a word mentioned about name of Toyota YMCA until we voted on it and approved it.
Isn't Camp Carson YMCA?
Yeah. So I believe so. Beautiful areas.
It's on.
Fellow commissioners, I've said my piece on that.
Well, I mean, let's reach out to the Y and say, hey.
Yeah.
Come and explain.
It would be good if they communicated back with us. And because there is concerns about it up here. And so they're going to come up here and want to do business with us. We're building that new Y here. And so they're going to want to do business with us. To me, I want to make good friends.
Sure.
And get to Canada. I wouldn't be wanting to pee everybody off up here.
Well, I don't have a problem. I'll reach out to them and say, hey, we have some concerns. Would somebody come and explain how that happened?
I think that'd be a good idea. You might earn your money this month.
Might
even get a raise.
Oh, yeah, right.
First year.
When that board meets, doesn't it, like any other board, have to post it somewhere? Anybody know the answer to that?
Well, it's no, the YMCA is a private board.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
Just don't hold anything they want to hold. At the time, so you have to kind of speak.
They may advertise on their website. I don't know.
Because I thought I heard that guy say we have that have some kind
They,
of.
they have something on a calendar or something, on a web. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe we can get some.
Yeah.
And.
I doubt that they're probably not opening it to the public, though. They're more.
No.
So, yeah.
Like the Chamber, the Salvation Army and any other nonprofit.
Yeah.
Is there anything else for the good of the cause here? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of rumors, coal mines, people had to get ready to fire back up out there, which actually are, there's a strip some out there. And they're going to close their one road off there behind the Linville Park. I think before they close that off, they need to build, I know the last minute set up, but they're supposed to build a new road. From 950 south from 1225, where it's 1300 east. And,
I had calls today from,
build that road before they close that up.
from Daryl Sickman and Denny TP today. And
I mean,
yeah, it's a big concern, and I was hoping Matt would be here tonight so I could talk to him about this. We need to go back over and talk to him again, get him to do that. Because they told Denny they wasn't gonna do it.
What is the road in, what is the road in question again? I want to write that down.
Well, the road that needs to be put in is 1225, and from there, 950 south.
Right.
But it needs to go straight on across the coal mines, 1300 or 1325 somewhere right there.
Yeah, that's what Denny told me, but they've already made the roadway. They've got bankments where they can put, all they gotta do is put rock down. And they told them they told Denny they wasn't gonna spend any more money. And I think they will.
They close the other road off.
Yeah. Cause see, they're gonna close that road off, and all them people along that Linville Park, they're gonna have to go miles and miles around just to get around up there. And the fire department's gonna get out there and.
I don't, or they close any county road. Don't they have to have your approval to do that?
Well,
Yeah.
and they're all bonded. So I mean, it would be a matter of trying to
Yeah.
getting the paperwork to see
Yeah.
what it says, on that.
Unless they're the railroad, yes, they have to have our approval.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless they're the railroad.
Well, they're coming to the next meeting
Yeah.
in December, the first one,
Just pulling
December.
that up. They'll be here at the next meeting.
Yes, because Matt and I have both been out there, they've already got the property. They just got to dig down, and get the coal out.
Yeah.
And they're gonna fire Kate back up.
Yeah.
And,
But they'll want to close that
Understand,
road.
consider all
Do they have access even if we were not to allow them
but
to?
it was been welded shut,
Several miles
Uh-huh.
around.
and they're putting it back in shape.
I know.
Is there a good fix for this situation and
Let me road there.
put a new road in, about the best fix?
Yeah, it's going, what, 3/4 of a mile through there?
Yeah,
Okay,
It's 3/4 of a mile through there.
all you gotta do is rock it.
that's what I wanted to know.
Rock road.
Yeah,
Rock road.
did that, what is that road?
yeah, I'm gonna talk to Matt again, because we gotta get this
I'm
lined
with you
out.
on that.
Okay,
They'll put in a new rock road, okay.
Which wasn't there.
But if they won't do that,
because,
we're not closing it.
it's a good idea. They're gonna fire that thing back up and finish what they started, but they're gonna have to rock the
Yeah.
road.
Right. Mary, you in agreement with something like that too, as far as there won't be any closing until they come in?
Well, we need to see if there's any kind of agreement or whatever on it already. And with the bonding and everything,
So I understand if they take the road out, they've gotta add one to it.
well, yeah, but I'm not exactly sure on the
Yeah.
terms.
Yeah,
It's something we need to
Okay.
check on to see what is already in place as to,
if I can get a hold of Matt,
Attorney,
we'll go back over and talk to him
I
again.
think the consensus right now is to have Commissioner Montgomery check with our engineer
We'll
on
go
any
back
kind of
over and talk to him.
agreements that we might have with them. And just informally right now, our initial thought is they need to
Yeah,
bring some rock in there and prepare another road if they're gonna close that one. That's our
they
initial
got to.
thought. So,
and I couldn't tell you what the bond, but they,
to be reviewed and discussed at a later
They're
meeting.
coming, the first meeting in September or in
Okay.
December. Mine is.
Okay.
They're coming here to get it approved.
That'd probably be a good time for any affected landowners to come in too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Anything else for the good of the cause here?
I think
Yes, ma'am?
900 South, which Coal Mine Strip Grid. They need to, before it's ever released, they need to fix that road and fix it right.
They're going to, because we was out there a couple of days ago, Matt and I, and they was out there waiting for us, and they've been patching up some of it.
Oh, yeah.
And we told them, you got to go deeper and put good blacktop in.
And even right
is that the
where,
one that's,
Huh?
is that the one that's dropping off on the side?
I think it's on the side, it's just, well, they put it back before it was ready to be put back.
Still
It
settling?
wasn't a
It's
coal
still
mine.
settling.
Oh, yeah,
So it's settled, it's settled.
yeah. It wasn't settled good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you first go onto it, from the four-way stop, you're going down.
Yeah.
And the way people drive on that road, they don't stop at the four-way stop.
Well, if you make it good, a good road, then they'll even go faster.
They don't do it stop.
There is some truth to that.
Well,
Yeah. Well, no, that's what the county always did. We get a soft spot in our gravel road, we'd dig out 3 truckloads of dirt out of the middle of that road and put rock in, just so.
3 inches or 4 inches of rock in there, it goes off the problem.
well, and part of their bond is those roads go back.
Yeah,
They have to be county approved.
yeah, we're not
Before they're
gonna
done
take
with
it back
Yeah.
until it's right.
So,
Good deal. I would.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so move.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks to all of you for coming this evening. Appreciate your input.
Yeah, we